Hi, I'm Adam Drake from Mugen Seiki Racing. Today I'm going to show you the new Mugen MBX8 Nitro buggy. So we'll start by taking a little bit closer look at the front end. So we have a new front bumper, new gearboxes, new shock towers, new lower arm. The upper arm is the same, but we also have an optional stiffer upper front arm coming. The uprights are new for the MBX8, as well as the Ackerman plate. As far as servo saver goes, it's very similar, except we now use a clamping servo saver nut, and also the steering posts are different. The steering posts now key into the chassis, so when you try to remove the screws from the bottom, you don't get caught with a steering post spinning. The front top plate is also different. It looks very similar, but again, it's different. We went to larger 4mm screws here just to increase durability. And we'll take a closer look now at the gearboxes and how easy it is to access the diffs. But before doing so, also want to mention that the pivots are also different. So the A and the B pivot are different on the front end. The differential is now the HT differentials, but we have a new ring and pinion with straight cut gears. The outdrives have also changed to a new, more durable material. And so now we'll take this front diff cover off and show you how easy it is to access the diffs. So here on the front end, with the new front diff cases, basically you just have to remove these upper two screws and the two screws from the bottom that go through the chassis. From there you can just pull the bumper out of the way, loosen the two set screws for the sway bar, and then this front cover comes off, and then the diff will slide right out. So your suspension will stay intact. You won't have the arms hanging off, and you know, when you go to set this aside to service the diff or adjust the diff fluid, basically the front of the car can all stay together, and it's just a lot cleaner and easier to work on. Like I mentioned before, the front and rear pivots are a little bit different to allow for this front cover to come off. I'll put this back together and then I'll move on to a couple of the other features. So here's a look at the new front arms for the MBX8. As you can see, I have a MBX7R arm here, and with the MBX8, we not only made this portion of the arm much thicker, we also changed the material of the arm and then enclosed it on the bottom to help keep dirt out and just so it doesn't get as kind of scuffed and scratched looking. And then we also use shock pins instead of a shock screw. And then it just has a single set screw on the bottom of the arm. And this set screw goes in between the inner and outer position. And the shock pin then has a groove in it. And where this set screw goes, it locks in so that that pin can't come out. And then the kit will come with these plastic inserts. And from what we've found, this has kind of been the best in most conditions. If you're running when it's really hot, or if the track's like really high grip and you want the steering to be a little bit more precise, we have two options of carbon fiber arm stiffeners. Those will be available pretty much immediately. So again, hot weather or higher bite tracks, you'll want to run the carbon stiffeners just to give it a little bit more precise feel with the steering. And then for medium to low grip tracks, just the stock plastic inserts. Droop screws are are very similar, or it's the same droop screw, but the way that it works is very similar. We did beef up this area a little bit just to help support the droop screw. And again, it's a new material arm that has proven to be considerably more durable. So here's a look at the rear suspension arms. And just like with the front arms, we increased the thickness of the arm. We switched materials to a new, more durable material. And then we use the arm stiffeners. And the cool thing with these, not only does it allow you to kind of tune the arms for how stiff they are, it also is much, much easier to clean. So you get a bunch of dust and dirt buildup on here. It's much easier to get in with a toothbrush or a paintbrush and clean the arms. You don't have as many kind of cracks and crevices to get in there and clean. And the big thing is just the increased durability that makes these arms so special. The MBX8 comes with two different chassis braces for the front, a short and a long. These are very similar to the old car. Not much has really changed there, but the rear chassis brace has. So the rear chassis brace, we now have inserts that go into this back portion, and it allows you to, when you tighten the screws down, it can pivot and hinge smoother than before. So if you take a really hard hit and the chassis flexes, you don't have to worry about it flexing and then trying to stay. With these inserts, it allows the chassis to kind of flex and move and go back to home, or where it's supposed to go. Also, the piece-set bolts to the bulkhead that supports the chassis brace has been changed to increase durability, as well as to go to a 4mm screw, again, just to increase durability. And the upper front deck is also very similar looking to the MBX7R, but this is also changed to accept and use the larger 4mm screws. The MBX8 comes equipped with a new high downforce lightweight wing that we just recently released, and that is mounted to a new one-piece wing mount. Now, this wing mount is super lightweight. It's really small compared to some of the other one-piece mounts that are on the market. And the really cool feature with this is that it's fully adjustable. So you don't have to have different wing mounts in your box if you want to adjust the wing height. You can actually just move the wing mount and this piece here that captures the lock nuts that secure the wing mount in place. And you can just move the entire mount up and down depending on your desired wing height, or if you're running a different wing. So if you're running a flat wing like what comes stock, you may want to run like the middle position. And if you then go to, say, like the Proline Trifecta light wing, where it's actually flat in the center and then step down, you can then raise the wing up so that you have clearance for the tires. So pretty cool feature. The one-piece wing mount, it's been seen on other vehicles before, but we just kind of took it a step farther and made it even lighter and also fully adjustable. So here we have a look at the new molded battery box for the MBX8. And I've been asked a bunch if this will fit on older models, and the question is no. And the reason for that is the radio tray had to be modified to be able to fit the battery tray. So even though the receiver box is the same and the standoffs for the radio tray are the same, if you want to put this in older models, like on your Truggy, the 7T or something like that, you will have to purchase the radio tray as well as the battery box. The cool thing with the battery box is obviously it encloses the battery, it protects it, so if you have any hard side impact, the battery isn't exposed anymore. And I believe in some of the racing organizations this is now required. So we went ahead and made the change to, again, make your battery last a little bit longer as far as the durability goes, and just make the vehicle more reliable. The center diff mount on the MBX8 looks pretty similar to the previous car, but again, this is completely different. We changed the diff standoffs to where it's a much stiffer material, and we also changed the center diff cover. And the reason for this is it now allows you, when you take this top cover off, the front brake linkage doesn't basically fall off. So now it's really easy to remove that cover, all your brakes stay intact, and just makes it easier to service the center diff. And when you put everything back together, you're not trying to also align the brake cam into the front support. So here we have a closer look at the rear end of the MBX8, and like with the front end, it uses the new gearbox that makes it really easy to access the differentials. It has a new shock tower, the wing mount that we talked about earlier. It uses a new C and D pivot block. The inserts for the pivots are the same as the previous model, but the actual pivots themselves are new. It uses the 1344 straight cut ring and pinion gear, and then also included in the MBX8 is the new 47 tooth spur gear. And I'll also do or show in this video basically how free and efficient the drivetrain is. It was when I first built up the MBX8, I still didn't have the A-arms on it, but it was the MBX8 gearboxes, drive shafts, and ring and pinion, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting for you guys to see just how smooth and free the drivetrain is with the new MBX8. The chassis for the MBX8 is also new. This chassis that I actually have for the video is a pre-production one, so the production chassis will have a little bit different kind of cutout or shape to it, but also you can take a little closer look at the bottom side, box-shaped A-arms, and I also want to show you the shock pins that we talked about earlier.